Continue. All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us, and extra thanks for your support of this year's Celebration of Trees launch. As Margaret said, I'm Stacy Ike and a volunteer, but she's the chief in charge. I'm just trying to help keep things coordinated and information flow going. And that was one reason we wanted to do tonight, was to give everybody an opportunity to connect with each other and connect with the different things going on so that we can share great ideas. So this is just a quick overview of our planned discussion for tonight. If I'm missing something that you had a burning question on, please just put it in the chat window and we will make sure we get to it. We'll have plenty of time at the end to go over anything we missed, as well as some dialogue in the middle. So please just make sure that we're getting your questions answered as we go along. So let's start off with what is the celebration of trees that we're doing here? And the launch is really a campaign to raise awareness and instigate action to preserve existing trees and plant new trees. Why? Well, why not, right? Trees are awesome. Trees are good. Everything, each one of you can probably type in or name 5 different reasons why trees are so critical. You are the believers. You are the ones who already have the knowledge base and the enthusiasm to support trees. I'd like to take a minute. Right now, you see this little chat box note up here. You're going to see this on most slides. I would love to capture some of your specific thoughts on why do you feel like a Celebration of Trees campaign is important this year? What do you see that's going to be beneficial about it? Why are trees good? Trees are good for birds. Trees are good for cooling the environment. Trees are good for water conservation and erosion control. Trees are good for all kinds of stuff. And I would love to capture some of your thoughts on that right here in this chat box now. Each of these reasons, each of you has things that call to you specifically, and all these reasons are valid. Talking about one does not negate the others. And that's part of what we're building this fall, is this information campaign for people to understand that there's lots of reasons to get excited about trees. And it's not so much a lecture approach as it is an enthusiastic cheerleading approach to let people start to learn and understand like you already do. Who's kicking off this campaign? So it's initiated by Plant Nova natives, but it's executed by everybody. And by everybody, Margaret's list is long of all the people that we are getting involved. That goes from government board of supervisors, schools, libraries, nonprofits, small businesses, corporations, private citizens, homeowners associations, every kind of group, book clubs. I mean, there's just all kinds of people that can help share the news about what's going on here. Phase 1 is to raise public awareness. It's this fall. Phase 2 is going to be taking place. It may be more than phase 2 phases. Is going to be taking place over the next several years. This is a 5-year campaign to really move larger projects, larger collaborations, and move the needle on the number of trees planted in Fairfax County. It's going to be aligned with the EPA mandate to plant more trees in Northern Virginia. But we're also doing a little bit of building the airplane while we fly it kind of concept. So we'll be developing some of these projects and sharing more of that information as time goes on. Right now, we're focusing on raising public awareness this fall. Okay. Margaret, did we get any good comments on why trees are important? Do you want to share any of those for us?
We had a lot of really good comments, a lot about shade and the ecosystem, the butterflies, etc., carbon sequestration. And this one is very dear to my heart, which is promoting community involvement. So thanks for that thought.
Absolutely. All great ideas. And so we're going to keep a list at the end. I'll talk a little bit more about some of my lists. I'm known for my lists, unfortunately. But before we get there, let's get on to the next point. The reason we're all here is to connect and collaborate. Several different people had said, you know, I would love to hear what somebody else is doing. Can you share what somebody else is doing? And so we thought we would get together as a group and connect all of you to each other, and then share a few ideas, but then also give you a forum where you could share and reach out to each other and build your ideas. Before we get started on that though, I just cannot overemphasize that this group, each one of you individually, are crucial to the kickstart of this effort. You are the passion and the knowledge that are going to start this wave of information, sharing with people the importance of trees to all of life on Earth. Your actions and activities are going to bring a voice to this. So you can't say you are going to be a driver here. So we are so thankful that you are participating and that you're willing to bring your energy and your enthusiasm to make this fun and to help share the news. So our goal is really to get the general public to jump on the bandwagon. Our experience is that in this type of messaging, it needs to be pretty simple, and it needs to be cumulative, and it needs to be fun. I'm using a term throughout this briefing called the web, sort of the multimodal web that is key to get on people's radar. You're not going to get somebody to go plant a tree if you bump into them in the grocery store and mention it, right? They need to get a sticker and a book, and they need to hear a conversation from a friend and a sermon at church and see a sign in the HO and the where they live at their apartment, and the kid comes home with a drawing, and all of these different barrage of information starts to move the needle for people. And so we're really seeking to get all kinds of different information out, and to make sure that every event that is ongoing gets broadcast in a lot of different ways and gets leveraged in a lot of different ways. So that's some of what we're going to be talking about tonight. So we're going to kick off with a few folks who have volunteered to share a little bit about their information. And you see my chat box requests down here. There's two topics we'd love for you to enter in as the ideas pop into your head. One of them is how to expand the web of any given event. You know, when you hear them talking about something, you could, the tree talk, you could say, gosh, you know, does the radio know about that? Or, you know, is it going to be in conjunction with another event? And just pop in whatever ideas you have right into the chat box. The other is, what's a catchy name for that? You know, boy, that scavenger hunt sounds like fun. We should call that trees for something. Catchy names are not my specialty. So both of those, let's go ahead and use the chat box and start providing some information back and forth to each other. And Margaret, you are our first up to talk. So I'm going to turn it over to you. Do you have anything to share, or are you just going to chat?
I can just chat.
Okay.
So I was invited to do something at the George Mason Library in Fairfax. And what we decided to do, the librarian and I, is to make it a scavenger hunt, so a family affair. And we're going to give out a handout that has 10 questions about trees, or statements about trees. So for instance, this native tree has bean pods on it. Can you find it? Or this tree is an invasive that does damage to the ecosystem. Whatever, just little statements like that. And I will have put the name of the tree on each tree, or also I'm putting a label on a porcelain berry. And so people will go out at the beginning and find find the trees, and then write down the names that match the description. And then we'll all gather together again after 10 or 15 minutes, and then we'll talk about it more, and while drinking cider or something like that. So that's our idea. It's pretty simple. The problem with this, I think it'd be quite fun. The problem is going to be the same problem with any event, but probably more so with this event, which is trying to figure out how to get an audience. So if anyone can help with catchy names or other thoughts, love to hear them. So thank you. You are muted.
Any questions or comments or thoughts to share with Margaret? Anybody doing a similar idea? Feel free to jump in versus chat box if you'd like.
Margaret, this is Mike. We're doing this at Nativity Church. We're having a scavenger hunt there for the fall festival, and Creation Care, which is the ministry I work in under Pope Francis started 5 years ago. I came out with a Laudato Si encyclical. It addresses caring for the common home and creation. And so anyways, Kim Young, who is our leader, and we have several other in the ministry are putting together a scavenger hunt for the fall festival. I think I don't know, it's going to be somewhere along the same lines, maybe 10 or so trees. They're going to be finding them on the campus there at Nativity. And it's going to engage primarily the young people. It's an education, of course, but that's going to be what the plan is. And the fall festival is the late September. It's the last Saturday in September, the 25th, at Nativity on the campus there. Nativity Church of Nativity is a Catholic church. So that's really all I can add to what Margaret had to say.
Fantastic.
Great.
We're gonna be collecting some of this information as well. And so just things like, I'd love to do a scavenger hunt, but I don't really know what to have people scavenge for. We're gonna start collecting just the different things that people are doing so that you'll have a resource to be able to just grab and go if you kind of come up with something at the last minute and don't have time to put a lot of thought into it. There's an opportunity for that. All
Can I make a
right,
quick comment?
sure.
So in Oakton, we have this Oakton Day at the Oakton Community Park on August 8th. And I'm supposed to be leading a little talk. So I'm hoping to get some ideas from folks here. But it's from 1 to 4. And right now we have some scouts that are going to have a table about invasive plants. Projects are working on another table with Leave No Trace. And then I'm supposed to give a little walk through the forested part of the park. So I was thinking of a scavenger kind of, or a bingo card for kids where there's like outlines of different trees, leaves or something, and they can just mark it on a card that they saw. But the ideas I'm hearing here are good for maybe adult activities as well. So thanks.
That's great. I loved Margaret's idea of sort of kicking off with the scavenger hunt while she's waiting for everybody to get there. You know how you're the one who shows up early and you have to wait for everybody else and you get bored. It's a neat way to kind of give people something to do that's purposeful and intentional while you wait to get your quorum together and move forward. So a lot of neat ideas there. All right, let's move to Craig. Can you, is Craig on? There's so many people.
Yes, I
Great.
am. I'm here. I'm as the note says, I live in Burke Center Conservancy. It's a huge organization, lots of property, lots of homeowners. The main, with an organization like this, everything has to go through an arbitration, an architectural review board, and a board of trustees that we do. So when we do something, we have to start 60 days ahead of time to start doing the paperwork to get those approvals. That's a very small audience that we're dealing with. The other issue that I've found with a large organization like this, with our large conservancy, our large homeowners association, it's very difficult to get people notified and on board with doing things. We started in 2017 with this tree effort. We wrote a tree conservation plan that essentially just said we were going to start taking care of trees. Didn't have a lot of detail in it. It took approximately 4 months to get the board and the board approval to bless a plan that we put together to start planting trees in our community centers. We have 5 large community centers. There's a lot of open space. And so the idea is we're trying to convert lawns to trees as much as possible and still not take away the open space that a lot of the community still wants. In 2018, we put in, on a second phase of that plan that they approved, we put in 56 trees at 2 other community centers. In the fall of 2018, we got a Virginia grant, matching grant with $20,000, and we completed that in the middle of the pandemic shutdown. It was very successful. Essentially, the only cost to Burke Center was a few dollars that didn't get covered by our cost of labor, which was our input to money to the grant. So it was essentially 150 trees free to Burke Center, which we planted in the other 3 community centers that we have. So we are now approximately 350 trees into this program. In 2019, in the fall, we got a call from Fairfax Relief asking if we'd like to have some trees. I guess they had a lot of trees they needed to get rid of, mainly buttonbush, winterberry, and what were the other ones? Redbuds. And so we went out to the community. We advertised over our newsletter. We advertised on the electronic board that we have. We have a buzz, a Burke Center buzz that comes out every couple of weeks. We advertised in that. And we got about 20 responses. What we did was we set up an email account for bccfreetrees@gmail.com. And I'm management of that email, and our facilities manager, James McCormick, is also manager of that email. And we consolidated those names, all the trees, put it together over a 3-week period and handed out those trees on a Saturday and a Sunday. Like I said, we distributed about approximately, well, I guess I said 20, I think it was more like 36 trees to the community. And then we took another 50 trees for Burke Center. We planted those. We held the event again in the spring, and it advertised in the same way through the conservator, through the buzz, and through the bulletin board. And I got about 9 responses. But one of the issues was that the people weren't reading the conservator, I guess. And then after the window closed to get the trees, I got another 50 emails, so now we have approximately 75 email addresses of people interested in trees. So we've grown it from, a few volunteers, 6 or 7 from 2017, to now 60 or 70 people who are going to ask for trees this fall. So we're anticipating this growing even further. We're going to start advertising in August about this event coming up. I was expecting Relief to release now what their tree species are going to be, but we haven't heard, and I haven't heard back from Fairfax County, from Tracy or Taylor at the program, when they're actually going to give us trees.
This is a pretty amazing project that you guys have taken on, Craig. That sounds just fantastic. Anybody have any questions or want to chime in and ask something on how this progress is going, or how you could apply it to what you're doing, or something that you're doing that's similar, or how we can expand it? I love the fact that Craig mentioned that initially you only had the 36 trees because nobody was reading the source you were using, right? Now, once people heard about it, then it blew up. And so that multimodal thing, right? We just have to recognize it. We don't always know where people are going to be getting their information, and we have to hit them from a lot of different directions in order to make it known. So the first time may not work so well, but the second time might be huge. Any other comments that people would like to jump on with?
This summer or this fall we're tied to Relief again, as I said, but we plan to apply for that grant that's available. And we're going to combine the Relief organization for trees as well as with the grant to cover trees that people may request, but Relief isn't going to give us, to try to cover that second base of that stuff. So I'm expecting to probably distribute approximately 100 to 150 trees this fall total with the Relief program and the grant.
That's fantastic. Anybody want to chime in on with something? Okay, I think our next up is Tim Hughes. Is Tim on today?
Hello, can you hear me okay?
I sure can. Why don't you
Good.
kick us off with
All right.
your project?
Okay, I'll try to be very brief. Yes, I'm with Prince William County Public Works, and we did a very fun, family-friendly project in the spring, just as we were coming out of COVID. And we did reforestation maintenance with CRP, and it went very well. So it went so well, they invited me back and said, let's do another one in the fall. So here I am. Just to give a little background how it works with Prince William County Public Works, I manage vacant county properties for the county, and we have to maintain these properties. We do a fair amount of mowing. So what we're trying to do is convert from turf grass to reforestation. And it created a tremendous opportunity for us. So we've been doing for the past 7 or 8 years, averaging about a quarter acre, about a half to a whole acre of reforestation every fall. So we plan on doing another project this fall on a vacant county property. We have one really good potential site at Lake Occoquan. It's on Lake Occoquan. It's 2 acres. We're trying to prepare that site for reforestation for the fall. The goal is to be able to work with, co-host with CRP, Prince William County Public Works and CRP, to do this project. Well, we'll do, 2 sessions, one in the morning, say 9 to noon, one in the afternoon, 1 to 4. And we'll, with a group of say 10 to 20 volunteers, we will hopefully plant anywhere between a quarter to a half an acre in those 2, each 3-hour session. We're looking at 2 sessions, 3 hours. And the date for this reforestation project is scheduled for Saturday, October the 23rd. A backup date would be Saturday, October the 30th. So what we do is we plant tree seedlings. So they're just little fellas, yay tall. And we put them, we're protected by tree tubes, a mat, and a stake. We do a variety of trees, all native, of course. And we plan on doing 10 native species of tree seedlings. And and there are a variety from deciduous to evergreen. And we think these little projects really make a difference at the local level, in climate change mitigation, improving air quality, enhancing biodiversity, and restoring wildlife habitats. So that's all I have for now. Everybody want to mark their calendars. We look forward to a really family-friendly event on October the 23rd.
Sounds super. Questions from anybody or a similar idea that somebody wants to share or jump in on?
Can you put up a website or a contact point on the chat?
Yeah, that would be good. And what are you doing about watering these seedlings?
So it's surprising, there's very little mortality. If you plant seedlings, even in the native soils, if they're decent soils, we got probably a 90 to 95% success rate on these trees surviving on their own without watering. That's based on 6 or 7 years of experience.
How did you select the area where these are going in, and will you do signage as a way to bump out the reforestation effort for people who live and pass by this area to get the message?
Oh, yeah, we have a reforestation sign that we post at each site that we complete. And I wish I had a version to show you, but
Didn't
And
you
we
say there
get-
were 2 sites? 2 sites? And how did you pick them?
right now, there's one site that's the number one goal. We want to, the first option is this 2-acre site on Lake Occoquan.
Okay, Lake
We
Occ.
would like to do 1 acre at that site in those 2 sessions. However, we're in the process of controlling invasive species, that everything from mile a minute to kudzu, and we're controlling it. It's going to depend on if we have eradicated the invasive species by September at this particular site. That will be our first choice to go with that site. However, if that doesn't work out and it's not quite ready, then I've got a couple other small sites that we need, that we can reforest. To your point or question, we do get community buy-in and a lot of enthusiasm. Sometimes you get a little pushback when you go from mowing regularly to trees. And the first few years of a reforestation site is not so pretty. It takes a few years for it to, the trees to get 5, 6, 7 feet tall. But if you get enough community buy-in, they don't have a problem when you convert from turf grass to your reforestation site. Plus, we save tax dollars on mowing. The reforestation site requires very little maintenance, and maybe once a year we go in and we do a little fine-tuning maintenance, but we do save a lot of money on mowing.
What's your budget for this in terms of actually assigning value? Because you're an employee of the county. What is your budget for this project?
Now, the budget is the cost of the tree seedlings, the supplies, the tree tubes, the mats, the stakes, and the cost of the trees. And we have a very good tree supplier, Virginia Waters and Wetlands, here in Prince William County. And that's it. We rely on volunteers. Every small reforestation project has been based on a group of volunteers from the local community.
Yes,
So we-
but aren't you an employee of Prince William?
Yes, ma'am.
But
Okay.
don't you allocate? I'm just curious, because if he's doing this in Prince William, other counties can look to Prince William as an example. Therefore, I'm trying to just drill down to get all the facts so we don't have to circle back. Do you
I
allocate?
think that would be awesome. And so what I'd love to have you do is I'll connect you two after the meeting so you guys can have a lot more conversation on this, because sharing this with different counties will be fantastic. And so I think that's going to be a really great idea. So we'll make sure that you two have an opportunity to connect and carry on that conversation after the meeting. So I want to go ahead and keep us moving forward so we don't run out of time today. Several people have asked for details on this meeting, and I was going to ask Margaret if we could put up the link for the public calendar. We're not releasing that until like the middle of August, but I've been entering everybody's data so far. So this event is in there, as well as every other event that you have already shared with me up to the point that I've gotten it done. But it's not pretty yet. So, but all of you will have access to that public calendar. You can check it anytime. Every event that we know about will get in there. So you can always go and look for things and find new things that are going on and share information that way.
Absolutely.
Some of the other
Not a
things
problem.
that, sorry, Margaret.
I said, not a problem. It's no secret.
It's just want to say it's not terribly pretty yet. We've been working on how to make the titles look a little spiffier and that kind of stuff. And I just am a little bit behind, but we'll get to that. But in the meantime, the information's right in there. And some of the rest of this on this slide, we've shared via email, but probably I haven't been terribly coherent in giving you all this information. I saw Margaret put in chat, we can provide a sign for your event if you want. We can provide you some brochures or some stickers, but we need some idea of how many you need. And we need some contact information of how to get it to you. Are we gonna meet somewhere or drop something off or mail it? And that's all gonna take time. So the sooner we could get that, the better. And that will be in the information as I go back and forth with you via email about your event to say, you know, what else do you need? And those are things that we're providing. I spoke earlier in the day about this library of information. If you need an idea, shoot me a note and I'll see if I've got it already. Somebody else is doing it. If I've already got a piece of paper on it or somebody I can connect you with. If you have an idea that says, you know, on that scavenger hunt, I think they ought to look for acorn tops, shoot it to me and I'll add it to the big library resource and just keep growing that information source so that those ideas are ready for people when they need them. And then last, you are the guys executing this, these amazing, inspiring events and sharing the ideas with others and building the wave. I told Margaret yesterday, you know, in the football stadium, when they do that big wave all the way around and nobody around you really wants to do the wave. And yet when the wave comes rolling your way, everybody stands up, throws their hands up in the air, just because that's what people are talking about, right? That's what they're doing. We want to build that kind of wave. We want to build that sort of chatter. There's 2 million people in the Nova region, and I bet you 95% of them know about Amazon headquarters, right? So it's possible to reach everybody with a piece of information. And we really want to think big and think, how do we share this information with a bunch more people? So any questions on this? This is kind of shifting gears to your specific event. The kinds of information you need to share with us or that we're going to share with you, or how we can help. Any questions or comments here? All right. Call this the hot tips slide. Margaret's always sending me notes about, you know, a way to do things, a way to make it better. And so I tried to capture some of those that maybe we didn't talk about today. And I'm sure several of you, please enter in the chat box or shout out as we go through this. You probably have things that have worked for you in the past as well. But number one, we're trying to make these things fun and enjoyable to capture a broad audience who maybe doesn't already have the knowledge and the enthusiasm about trees that all of us share. And we're trying to create chatter with that multi-prong approach. I put the hashtag information up here. Please tag your information if you can, so that we can support each other and share with one another, as well as with all of our newcomers. Leverage existing audiences. Margaret brought that up earlier. The more you can do your event with concurrently with another event that's going on, the better off we are. That's more people will reach. Ask for a pledge specifically. They work. When somebody says, I will display the sticker where others can see, you can put that on a sign over the basket so people don't just grab 5 and throw them in their backpack, never to see the light of day again. The stickers cost us money and are part of a resource that could go elsewhere, but we want them to be plastered everywhere. So they're a great idea, but ask people to say that they're going to display it, or that they're going to save a tree this year. Those are great ways to get people to think about what they're doing. Focusing on the popular. People love to hear about birds and butterflies and fireflies. They don't always love to hear about spiders and snakes, which are also really great for trees are supporting that kind of wildlife as well. But let's focus on the things that you know have really broad approach to a lot of people. But you know your audience better than anybody. So focus on what your audience is going to want to talk about. And there's 100 other reasons trees are good, but focus on what's going to capture the group of people you are talking to. People often ask, do shrubs count? And yes, shrubs count. The preserve, a quick reminder that preserving a tree is as important as planting trees. Trying to keep the tree canopy that we already have. Stop the destruction of that tree canopy is an equally important task. And native, always when we have the opportunity to champion that these are native trees, that they bring the greatest benefit to what we're doing, then we should focus in that area. Other hot tips that people want to jump on and add to the group? All right. So thank you all for leading your organizations through this opportunity and encouraging people to run events and supporting events that are ongoing and bringing all of your bright ideas to it. As an organization, we're excited that you're going to host an event and that you're going to work your web to incorporate it into kind of the greater scheme of everything that's going on. And we greatly appreciate you posting a social media post from your organization, and Plant Nova Natives is going to send those out to you in an email, so you get it and you can just plop it in and work it any way you want to. So when you get those, it would be hugely helpful if you would go ahead and get those posted about once a month. And then if you have the opportunity to support other events where you can, that would be awesome. So if you send out to your group, you know, if you missed our tree event that last week, I hear that the neighborhood down the street or the church across the road, they're doing an event next week. Catch that one if you can. Or several of you have expressed interest in attending some of the events we've talked about today. So learning from each other and sharing that information will be great. And then as an individual, we can double our impact if each of us, in addition to doing the organizational work, takes an individual action as well. And posting on social media this week, you know, here's a picture of my my cardinal flower with the hummingbird that I just planted this spring, and already I have a hummingbird in my cardinal flower, and I'm so excited I can't stand it. I guess I need to pick a tree though instead of a small one. So some of my red buds are doing really well that started as seedlings, as Craig was talking about. So those are doing well as also. You can have a huge impact if you just have a conversation about trees. If you are walking with your neighbor and say, you know, I just think trees really matter, you know, or you see somebody in the grocery store, I don't know, just wherever you bump into people at church and you're at a town meeting and say, trees matter to me. I want you to know that. And then if you will indeed plant a tree this year, that would be pretty awesome. Or save a tree as that goes along as well. All right, I think that brings us to the end of where we are. Any questions, comments? What did we miss? I have not been able to keep up with the chat box to know whether what we're missing. So Margaret, are there questions that we need to get back to?
I'm not seeing a lot of questions that haven't been answered by people within the chat. I see a lot of great ideas and plans that people are doing, which is terrific and helpful for everybody, I think. But then somebody was, Carol, I think, was asking whether it'd be okay just to ask general questions about that campaign. Some people have questions about that or suggestions. Please chime in, or any other questions now. Now's your chance.
I just saw a list of groups with formal ties to initiative. Who is that, Catherine?
Yes. I'm new to Reston, and I really have no idea of any kind of formal invasive plant management work, native plant planting work, what the Reston Association is doing per se, how any of those groups are interacting with this particular campaign. So I'm wondering if there's a formal list somewhere of everybody that you're interacting with, every group that you're interacting with, that the leaders of this campaign are interacting with.
I'm going to let Margaret answer that, because you have come to the right place. I have learned so much in the last couple of weeks. It's unbelievable how many resources we have here in Fairfax County. Margaret, what's the best way to get to that information?
Okay. All right. Well, in terms of who's participating in this campaign officially, we're we only have half of them up on our new plantnovatrees.org website, but you can see those halves now. We just haven't gotten around to it. The website is in development, but as I said, it's not a secret. Basically, it's the same organizations that are partnering together to do the Plant Nova Natives campaign. Multiple organizations have pooled their resources to put out Plant Nova Natives, and that includes governmental organizations, nonprofits, for-profit organizations. It's about maybe 150 before we started the tree campaign. And then when we started the tree campaign, we started drawing in many others that are specifically interested in trees, like tree stewards and tree commissioners and people like that. So it's a very massive group effort. But what it isn't is something like New York's Million Trees, where the government and I don't know who else went out and planted 1 million trees. You know, they raised the money somehow and went out and did it. That's not what this campaign is about. We didn't have the capacity to organize that, and we figured that since this is a climate emergency and an ecosystem emergency, we were going to get the campaign up and running as fast as possible to get people to start planting on their own properties as fast as possible. And then we may be able to develop other resources as we go along, I hope. If that answers your question or not, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it does. Yep. Thank you. So there's a website that's in development that will have links to all the groups that are in some way providing leadership.
That's right, plantnovanatives.org. I'm sorry, plantnovatrees.org. Same group, additional website.
Thank you.
And you can get to the calendar in that link as well. And so I'm posting it here in the link now. And all inputs are welcome, but it is still a work in progress, just as but we're getting there. Who else has questions? Everything that's in the chat, I see just lots flying by. We're gonna, Margaret and I will kind of cull through that and make sure we get answers back to everybody if we don't get to talk about it right here. That's one reason we wanted to record the chat and make sure we have all of that information and can go back and connect things that might have gotten missed. But if there's something you want to bring up now that you've already put in the chat, please chime in, or something that you're saving. What questions do you have that we can answer now or for each other?
I have a question about how, if there's going to be a particular focus on parts of the region that have a lower kind of tree coverage and how that works, because I feel like a lot of times when we're the people that are representative of, you know, they're representing, let's say, particular communities that might not actually need the trees as much. I'm not saying that they don't, but maybe need them less than other parts of, say, the county or the region. So I'm wondering how, if at all, that could be addressed through this group, or what we could do to kind of reach out to those areas.
Yeah, thank you. And then if you're interested in helping with that initiative or anyone else, that would be great. Yeah, this actually was one of the original themes or desires of the campaign when we got it started. Now, keeping in mind that we only started in February, so that we've really had an all hands on deck. A lot of people have stepped forward. We want to promote equity as well as diversity, and to do something about the heat islands. And currently, the plan is that there is a team of volunteers who are working, that we call our Climate Vulnerable Community Team. And they're going to be approaching advocates in low income or otherwise climate vulnerable communities to work with existing groups to see what they want and how we can support them. And we also have another team that's working on outreach to corporations And our concept is that we will ask them to participate in the campaign, not by like giving us money, but by planting on their own properties if there's room, and supporting with money or other resources climate vulnerable communities that might want their help. And the reason for this is that we have something like 11 Fortune 500 companies in Fairfax alone, for instance. There are some big bucks out there, but they're not in the urban forester's budget, or any of the county budget. So we want to try and move that money directly to communities. That's our general concept, but it's really very much in the initial planning stages, and we'll need more, we need as many people as possible involved in that, and ideas.
Lots of great information there, Margaret. Thank you very much. Hopefully that gave you all a perspective of how that other pieces are working, and there's also organizations, community volunteer groups that are working with corporations, and volunteer groups that are working with different entities to try to broaden this out even more. So there's lots of different pieces ongoing. If you have an interest in another area and want to volunteer and help brainstorm how to do that better, I think that's a great, that would be a huge help. What other questions or ideas or thoughts that people have before we wrap up for the evening?
I just wanted to ask a question real quick, or talk about something. So I'm a member of Friends of Acatine Creek, and sort of going along with this celebration of trees, I just wanted to talk about Acatine Gorge. It's a really biodiverse area, and we are trying to preserve the trees there because they're being overtaken by invasive wisteria. So basically, I was just wondering if anyone was interested in volunteering with us to remove the invasive plants, and we're eager to work with other groups. So yeah, that was my question, and I'm just going to put my email in the chat too with a link so that if anyone wants to contact me, they can.
Thanks, Katie. Other questions, inputs, ideas?
I have input.
Yes.
Am I?
Can't tell.
Okay, yes, I am audible. My input is just in terms of communicating the excitement of this stuff, in terms of the reforestation of that land, and people like not thinking it's so pretty at first, to make sure, I put this in the chat, but I just want to speak it as well, to make sure there are like pictures that show today, tomorrow, next year, so that people have a visual guide and anticipation of what to see. So instead of being all up in arms and unhappy that it's not pretty from day one, as pretty much no garden is, that they have this imagery of what to anticipate, and can get excited even about, oh, this is now coming up, and look at how the beneficials of this is, so they're going to generate the story of it as it grows, so people can get some investment in the anticipation, the excitement, the benefits that are coming. And as they evolve, see them evolve. So I just want to encourage that as a way to get support for this sort of activity. And I find that people that, including myself, I don't know everything by any stretch, understanding the benefits of different trees and why particular native trees or native shrubs, who are their benefactors, what plants, insects, birds, others, the soil. I feel like if you had like a beautiful drawing, painting that was colored and showed all the outlines of who benefits, like this bug or this bird or this soil or this, something that sort of just as a diagram. So it's not like I got to read it and hold all this information. I get to see pictures. Oh, that bird, this, and then I associate, oh, that's what this oak tree does. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Oh, or that's what this shrub does. Or that's, I feel like that's a way, because so many people think that you can plant a non-native and who cares? The birds and the bugs will all like it just as well, but it's not true and people don't get it. So you can show here's the non-native and who benefits. Oh, so sad. And here's the native and how exciting it is. I feel like if we can create some graphics some simple graphics. It'll work for adults and kids alike. You might just see the pictures, you might read the words on it, but I think there's some way to generate excitement that's not all mental, like reading this article, you know, that could help in this whole goal, mission. I just
Thanks
want to
for that.
contribute that.
Thanks for that, Carol.
Okay.
Margaret's already recruited several artists to the group to do some artwork around celebrating trees. Some of it is specified and some of it is more artistic, but certainly visuals are always really important.
Well, I
And
think people don't know. It's just astounding what people don't know. So to make it visual and exciting, and it's all visual now. We watch everything on TV or on the computer. So I just feel like it's a simple, like at a glance, you can see this native is like filled up with life. This not native is like not so much,
right.
you know, so that people can just sort of grasp easily.
We even talked about a gaming idea the other day that everybody's into their video games and winning points and, you know, as getting to the next level, and how you could use the number of ecosystem services a given tree does to up your game, right? Or do like a fantasy tree league, you know, and the oak trees and the red buds are the best ones to have because the other trees don't give you as much stuff. So that would get to the gaming crowd who's less visual and more, you know, video. So there's just so many great ideas to do that. And I think I heard somebody try to jump in while I was talking. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna
Okay.
say, in my neighborhood, we have a Facebook group, and when we do a tree planting as a neighborhood on community property, not so much on private, we'll take photos and share like amazing volunteers did this, they accomplished this, they worked hard, it was, you know, hot and all this, and like we have photos of all of these people and what they've been doing, particularly the people who live in the neighborhood, and kind of like celebrating it and making it a huge deal. And, you know, people will like and comment. You know, the other thing that I've noticed, like I have golden ragwort, this is a, you know, plant, not a tree, but in front of my house. And when it was like bursting with yellow flowers, I posted photos of that, and immediately everybody wanted those in front of their house as well. So that attracted a lot of interest. Recently, the button bush, I had like 10 butterflies on it simultaneously. So I took some videos and photos and posted that, and everybody wanted to know what is it, where do you get it? Now, obviously, this is the best time to plant a button bush, but I'm hoping that in the fall, I'll be able to share the information. Again, this is what it looked like. This is where you can get it, that kind of thing. So I do think that, you know, social media works well for these kinds of posts where you have photos, you can celebrate people, volunteers, youth, if it's scouts. This scout did this for her eco project. This Girl Scout did this for her gold award, etc. Celebrate the people who participated, celebrate the numbers, the achievements, you know, maybe the difficulty in achieving whatever they did because it was hot, it was cold, it was, you know, whatever, the numbers of people that showed up, the person hours that participated in the project could all be, you know, ways to kind of motivate people to, you know, get involved the next time. Over.
Absolutely. Okay, well, we're getting close to coming up on the hour, and I don't want to lose folks. Any last questions or burning comments before we wrap up for the evening? Margaret, anything that we missed?
Oops. Hold on. Sorry, I got an echo. Yeah, no, I think that's it. Always looking for these ideas and people to help implement them. So love to have your input on that. We have many people on many teams, but it's interesting how it never turns out to be enough. So yeah, thank you all for what you're doing, which is fantastic. We've been so pleased by the response.
Awesome. All right then. Well, I think that's all we have. Thanks very much for everybody coming together. You'll see more emails coming, more information coming through emails. Please make sure you get us the information you need that you want us to publicize on the calendar. So get your catchy title for your event and send me that information. If it was in the chat, I'll pull it out of there. But if you otherwise, if you don't have an email from me, get us that info. Tell us what you need in terms of brochures, and we'll do the publicizing on our part and go out and save the trees. You guys are doing amazing work. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Stacy. Bye, everybody.
Margaret,
I think that's her phone.
no, it's
I'm here doing, give me a minute.
okay.
Sherry, while we wait for Margaret, do you have Tim's contact information? Can I shoot you an email to connect the two of you?
With the Prince William person?
Right.
Yeah, no, I think Margaret can give me unless, did he leave it off? Did he put it in the chat?
No, I don't think so. But I
I
really
have the
didn't keep up
master
with-
list. You may not know this, but, or maybe you do. I'm on the publicity committee. And so I'm really tuned into everything. And what I wanted to say to Margaret, I'll say to you, this cannot be a free-for-all. We have to have the mothership celebrate trees to be the parent of every event and activity, because what will happen is that people will go rogue and do their own thing, and there will be no tie-in to, we spent a lot of time. That's why we decided to do the stickers and keep that theme consistent. Anybody can do an event, but you are in dangerous territory because people like to be fresh. And it's great to come up with fresh events, but it has to be driven by the core theme. So everything that people see, know that it's threaded together. Oh yeah, celebrate trees. It's all a part of that, because you have too many organizations who will like, oh yeah, Reston Association is doing their own celebration Reston or something. And so I feel very strongly about this because, you know, I don't know, Stacy, I'm sure you've been involved a long time too, but I represent a very large organization and I know what happens when you don't stick to the message. Okay,
Well,
so it's very
it's
easy.
any-
I love the enthusiasm. I mean, my gosh, there's a lot of interest, but just make sure that when they come back and they want information, that they know they should drive it with that common theme. To me, it's very important. Don't you think, Margaret, to keep the Celebrate Trees with Nova Natives as the parent of all this? You're muted, you're muted.
I'm not really terribly worried. The people on this call today, 90% of them are people who've come to many of our events, like our Ask the Experts events. They're deeply into this already and very strong supporters of the Plant Nova Natives. They know what they're doing, and I think they're going to be great.
Okay, if you
Um,
already know that, I'm just saying that we just, when you send out the material to support their activities, you can underscore the fact that Celebrate Trees is the engine, so to speak. And I get it. They're doing their thing. They're on it. But, you know, haven't we talked this to death to say all we want to do is people to plant trees? Right?
Well,
Isn't it? And that one guy was amazing from the church. I didn't really understand the whole thing, but it sounds like they're got a really giant leap and they're a great story to share. Whoever that guy was. I mean, it sounded like he represented a Catholic church somewhere.
I was vague myself.
Do you remember
Yeah,
the
well,
man
you
who
know-
told us about the events and that they planted all these trees?
Yeah.
It wasn't from a church, it was the Burke Conservancy.
Oh, that's right. Bert, thank you. Yeah, that was huge.
Well, 2.2 million people to reach, we have to outsource it all, essentially. So, you know, if people end up getting a little off message, I'm really not at all worried about it. I just think the only thing that I think we need to remind people of or point out to people, because there may be some people who are new, and hopefully we'll have a lot of people who are new, is that this even though we're just sort of celebrating trees in general as our kickoff, that this is a native tree campaign. So we have to keep bringing them back to that. But right now, the more people we have doing stuff, the happier I'll be.
Okay.
I think it's fantastic. All right, guys, I gotta go. Thank you all.
You didn't
very
send me
much.
back an email, by the way. I asked you in terms of, there was one question, but I'll send you another email again on a separate topic. Air Hill, remember? Container gardening.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Did you
Mhm.
send me something
Great.
and I didn't see it?
I think I responded, but if I.
Okay, I'll go back and look. Is your audio broken that you have to use a phone?
I don't know what happened. Let me try again. I'm gonna turn off my phone audio, turn on my, let's see.
Can you hear me
Can
now?
you hear me now?
Yeah.
It fixed itself.
Oh.
Good news. All right.
Margaret,
Oh, I know what
let
the
me-
problem was. I couldn't actually hear. That was the problem. It didn't fix itself. Well, can you say something so I can see if I can hear?
Can you hear me now?
No, can't. All right. I'll have to go back to plan A. All right. Thank you all so much.
Bye.
Bye.